Mic check. Okay. We're trying to leave a minute, see if anybody gonna get on. I know this is impromptu. So just dragging. Peace. Peace. Black Butterfly. Good afternoon to you. Peace, Faye. How y'all doing? It's dragging over here. Trying to 1 2 1 2. Can y'all hear me good? Trying to 1 2 1 2. Can y'all hear me good? I gotta turn this off on Facebook because I'm 1 2 1 2. Can y'all hear me good? Just lagging. I gotta turn this off on Facebook because I'm okay. Okay, so real quick, I waited to the last minute to get on here. I wanted to try out. It's been a long time since I did it live this way, so I wanted to test this out because I'm soon going to be starting me a podcast or two. But I don't even have anything prepared for this. I'm just going to go off the dome. But we know today is what we're given as Valentine's Day. And you know, it's interesting that on today, you know, you got things you're supposed to do. You're supposed to if you in a relationship, you're supposed to send some flowers, send some candy, maybe a teddy bear or something. And even for our children, their condition, everybody, they come home with little projects for Valentine's, and it's cute. I'm not talking down on it, but it's just to present just how everything we do in this world is, well, not a great deal of it is conditioned. We are told what to do, what you're supposed to do at this time. And if you do it this way at this time, it means that you love this person or that person loves you. But what's interesting is that Valentine, as we look at it as around being romantic and romanticism and love and dreams and uh companionship. A lot of times when I talk to people about relationships, as far, especially when I'm reading for them, I tell people something, and it always kind of sets them back. Relationship means death. Yeah, relationship means death. And um let me see if this chart is, I wanted to pull up a how can I do this? I wanted to pull it up, a natural chart, but I don't know how to move it right now. Let me see something, because I want to show this. I'm just gonna have to move. I'm gonna have to move the clock. We're gonna move the clock to see right now. Gemini is on the ascendant. We're gonna do this. We're gonna move it back 2 hours. Then another 2. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna try to share this. If I can remember how to share on here. I want to share this chart. Now I got to remember, how the hell do I share on StreamYard? Present. There we go. Share screen. Where's it at? Screen 1. There we go. View. Okay. Can y'all see? Can y'all see this chart? Damn, now I lost my. I need to be able to see. There we go. There we go. Okay, y'all can see that. Okay, good. Probably would have been better if I did this on Zoom, because I could blow the chart up more to where you can. Okay, that's a little better. Okay. Only thing is I can't touch the screen. And okay, so look where you see number 1. See, that's what they need. They need to allow you to be able to write on this thing. Okay, house number 1. Look at house number 1. I have moved the clock back to where Aries is ascending. And Aries ascending means Aries is in the first house. Aries is naturally associated with the first house. Okay. So Aries is like, we talked about yesterday. Aries is the baby. It's the emergence of the head from the womb into 3-dimensional existence. Aries then also represents the ego. So the first house is the ego, or the sense of who I am. Now, the sense of who I am forms a harmonious relationship with the fifth house, which is the natural house of Leo. So if you look on the inside of that circle, you see 5. 5 is the fifth house, is naturally associated with Leo. Leo is the domicile of the sun, or the natural home of the sun. So Aries is the sun rising, and Leo represents the sun at its highest point, its strongest point. And that's why Aries is trine the house of Leo, which means they are 120 degrees away from each other. Okay. So now the sun is at its highest point and it can be seen. So the fifth house is also your house of romance, how you naturally express your love, how you personally express your love. And the fifth house too is also where there is security in the self, in who I am. First house is I am, I emerge. Fifth house is now I am secure in what has emerged, as in I'm secure in myself, because the sun is at its strongest point. Okay. And based on that, that's how you shine or display your love or romance. All right. Now, here's where it gets tricky. You count 2 more houses over, you're now in house number 7. And house number 7, you see the symbol for Libra. Y'all with me? Because I don't have my pen. I want to make sure I'm not losing. Can y'all see the numbers on the inside of the wheel? 1 through 12. 1 is Aries, and the symbol is on the next to the outer ring. You see the symbols. So Aries is the first house. Leo is on the 5th. 7th house is Libra. Libra, the scales. We talked about the scales yesterday. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Black Butterfly. Thank you, Faye. Okay, so Libra forms a harmonious relationship with Leo because they're 60 degrees away. They form what's called a sextile. Sextile, 60 degrees. That means it's an aspect of opportunity. So there's an opportunity based on how you naturally push out your romantic energy or how you show love. Okay. And a connection between that and you now being on the scales of balance, which represents a relationship. But here's the deal. Libra in the 7th house is opposite Aries in the 1st house. So that means we have opposition. We got a standoff. We got a war, because the 7th house is relationship, is also the house of open enemies. So a relationship sounds harmonious when we just say the word relationship, but based on what the 7th house also means, a relationship can be a war. Now, how many people are involved in an unstated act of war that they call a relationship? The ego emerges in the 1st house, Aries. The ego is preparing to die in the 7th house, Libra. If you bring 2 people together who are intent on maintaining their ego. And when I say ego, I mean from the standpoint of the childlike idea of who they are. Because the ego, we don't throw away the ego, but it has a job. Its job is to create a spark, and that spark has to be cultivated into a sustainable fire. And then that fire must be turned into ashes and then rekindled. Okay. So if two people get together and they're concerned about just maintaining the initial spark, then what they have is they're involved in an act of war because both of them are trying to hold on to their ego. Is this making sense? The seventh house, when you go to the scales, it is you're going to move into adulthood. Relationship is a doorway to true adulthood because now the child in you has to grow up. And the reason why a lot of so-called relationships don't work is because one, what I just said, you have people who are trying to hold on to the little boy or the little girl. And we also live in a world that feeds our egos. Social media. You have these influencers who, because we allow ourselves to be influenced, they tell us what a woman should not put up with, what a man should not put up with. You have relationship experts who sit here and have these big shows where they on here going to counsel people on this and that and talk down to this person and that person. Or you got these internet people who pop up and they tear down women, or you got a group of women who get on here and tear down men. And what it actually does is supports the child in you never growing up because they feed that natural inclination in us to want to hold on to that ego because the ego fears not existing. So we have all these we go through all this stuff today. And what trips me out is people spend more time trying to convince everybody else of how beautiful their relationship is on Valentine's Day versus looking deeper into the relationship. Like what does it matter if I let you know about the health of my relationship? I mean, think about it. I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be I can't think of another word but asshole. I made it this far without cussing. 19 minutes in, first cuss word. So I mean, come on, you got to pat me on the back. I'm really trying to work on that. But that's the only word I could think of. I'm not trying to be an asshole. But if you really think about it, why worry about my opinion of your relationship? This should be the most private day. If we're gonna really get into the whole thing, the whole so-called holiday, then it should be the most private day. You see, even the way we pretend to celebrate this is all based on our ego. I gotta let you know how much or I love my husband. I gotta let you know how much I love my wife. My daddy used to tell me a story about he grew up on this side of town called the South Side, where we from. And he would always tell us a story about this couple. I think the man's name was Ralph. And I don't know if that woman's name was Evelyn or something. And they had this store called OK Cash. They had two stores. Um, Charlie's Market, OK Cash. So I can't remember which one it was in. Oh, Black Butterfly says a lot of performance and theatrics rather than cultivating their relationship like a garden. That's right. That's right. That's right. There's no fanfare to growing crops. It's work, you know. So he used to tell us a story about how they would be in the store, and the lady would be like, Ralph, can I get me an apple? And he'd be like, yeah, baby, get whatever you want. And he said they would she would ask for something else. Ralph, can I have a what? Yeah, baby, get whatever. And he said later on that night, because this couple stayed upstairs from them. He said they would get up there and they would get drunk and they would get the fighting, and I'm not making light of any type of domestic, but that this was an ongoing thing. They get drunk and they get to fight, and say they would go tumbling down them steps, and they could hear them out there arguing. You going out there trying to impress people and spending up all this money, da 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 da. But while they were in the store, it was, oh yeah, baby, get what. So in other words, I see that as how a lot of how we do Valentine's. And a whole lot of stuff about our life, our existence. We always trying to convince somebody that everything's great because our egos are so fragile that we miss out on what a relationship, like I said, is the door opening to you becoming an adult. Because the scales, if we just think about agriculture, Aries, the seed is planted. By the fifth house, the seed has ripened into a piece of juicy fruit. The sixth house, Virgo, is cultivation. It's the work. That's why my mother's a Virgo. That's why Virgo always got some project they working on getting done, because they're always trying to cultivate something. Okay. So if it wasn't for Virgo, the fruit of Leo would just perish, or what's the word I'm trying to think of? Spoil. Because Virgo does the work of cultivating or harvesting the fruit. Why? Because the fruit has to be harvested to take to the market. The market is relationship. You own the market. And so when you go to the market, they put the fruit on the scale to weigh it up. How much does it weigh? And so what happens next with the fruit? If the fruit is considered to be good enough, then the fruit is taken and is eaten. And that's the eighth house. The eighth house is Scorpio. And the eighth house represents what the ego fears greatly, because the eighth house is the house of death. That's right. Relationship equals death. The death of your ego, the death of holding on to the little childhood trash that we all have and carry with us. And that's what the first house expression of I am fears. So we get into the relationship, both egos go through a measuring or a balancing, and then they die. But here's the crazy thing about the eighth house. It ain't all bad. None of it's bad, because the eighth house association with death is the same thing as having sex. Aha. The eighth house is passion. The eighth house is now it's about we lose ourselves into each other and we create something out of us. So the eighth house is the house of karma. What's karma? It's cause and effect. So because we lose ourselves into each other, we create something that's beyond us. And that is the life after death. The eighth house, which is what the relationship is ultimately striving to establish and to create something out of us dissolving into each other. And that's where the Valentines come in, and where if we know how to use it, now we talking about something different. There's something can be done. So Valentine's, who do we think about Valentine's? Cupid, right? Cupid is the Roman version of Eros. Eros in the Greek. Eros is where we get the word eroticism. The eighth house is the house of eroticism, taboo, passion, sex. So when two people are able to work through enough of their stuff and they are forced to become vulnerable and they're forced to relinquish what they're holding on to and trust, actually build trust, then they have the power to create something beyond what they could have even remotely imagined individually, i.e., manifestation. So this is a perfect little segue into my new book, A Layman's Guide to Manifestation. It is out now, 720astrology.com. You see it rolling through the bottom. I know that's a long um, address, HTML at the bottom, but if you just go to 720 Astrology, you'll see a tab for Layman's Guide to Manifestation. This, look, the whole world is, or let's say, from the top down, there is something being put in the mix to disable relationship. Relationship actually has an impact on our physical and mental and spiritual health. We've been convinced that being alone is the best way because the muck of that we're living in makes us disgruntled about the institution of relationship. Why? Rightfully so. Wounds. Many of us have deep wounds, and we've just determined it's better just to leave it all alone. Now, I'm not trying to encourage people to rush out here and, you got to find you somebody, but I do want to say not to abandon the institution of relationship. And however you are able to establish it that works best for you. Nobody else's opinion, their input, none of that matters. It's about what works best for you. If you figure out you in a relationship with a box cutter, with a oak tree, whatever it is, if it works for you, the hell with everybody else. Because you are finding your own idea or reality of balance. So what we got is a lot of angry people walking around who are holding on to the Aries aspect of themselves and holding on to the wounds associated with the Aries aspect, but innately, deep down, subconsciously, they desire to be in relationship, but those wounds and the nature of the ego to say, I'm afraid of losing myself, prevents it. And then we live in this pool of negativity where people constantly promote not having harmony because it makes money to cause dysfunction. When I drive home to North Carolina, I always trip about how from state to state, from Texas, I drive Texas all the way out I-20 to Atlanta. Then I take 85 up to North Carolina. Every state, divorce, divorce, divorce. Don't drink and drive. Hooked on drugs, call us. And then they want to sprinkle in some Jesus here and there. And it's crazy. It's constant negativity, and they make jokes about the divorce. Like, hey, want to clean out your wife's closet? We'll help you do it in less than 2. Like they make like our whole system is set up against having any type of harmony with another human, and especially in a relationship. So it's 1:45. I got to go pick up my children from school, but this just real quick. I want to throw it out there. It is worthwhile if you are in a relationship. Let me tell you this too. If you in a relationship and you got that friend who always say, fuck it, I just leave. Run from that person. Like that old saying goes, misery loves company. Unless you getting your head thumped on or you're being abused in some other form or fashion, it is worth working on your relationship. Let me say this again. Unless you are getting abused, it is worth your while and your partner to work on your relationship, because you can make magic when you are in agreement with someone else. Like, people don't really know what that scripture, when 2 or 3 are gathered. See, people get mad because they want you to put stuff in a box. Let me tell you, that is more than what they think. That is a magical equation where 2 or 3 are gathered. 2 people in relationship, they both die to each other and they create a third something. That third something is called the affinity. It's called the perfection. It's called alchemy. It is one of the steps in manifestation, because what they create, they are bringing out of themselves. They're not pulling nothing from the thin air. Think about when you make a baby. That's the greatest secret that the Creator gave us for how we can work with our reality. Is the making of a baby. That's the most magical shit you can ever see or be part of. This man provides seed, the woman has eggs, and the rest is done in mystery. But if cultivated properly, soon a new life emerges. That's one of the secrets of manifestation. So you and your partner can work magic. And people scared of the word magic. Magic just means power. It means power. It is the same thing as saying magnificent. It's the same thing as saying Magdalene, as in Mary Magdalene. It means power. There is power when there is agreement. And one way to hamstring a people is to disconnect them from how to relate and create a world full of big head, waterhead children running around here with credit cards and 2,000-pound cars running into each other because they think they playing bumper cars because it's big babies. The world is full of big ass babies who think they are adults. So on this Valentine's Day, I challenge you, if you're in a relationship, Get off social media trying to convince me and us that everything's great, and go and sit down and talk with your partner. While Venus is conjunct Neptune. If you, I wish I had my look in the 12th house on this chart, and you see, look at number 12, and you see two planets close to each other. That's Venus and that's Neptune. Venus is attraction. It is the planet of love. It is the planet of relationship. It rules Libra, the sign of relationship. It is approaching a conjunction with Neptune. Neptune in Pisces, which is the dream, the imagination, the other world. So this is a great time to be sitting down with your partner and thinking about what's our dream. And then if we're going to be romantic and get busy, then we are going to see it as a way of cultivating. Come on. Yo, people got to be creative. In these times, you think in a box, you stay in a box. Think outside the box. Think outside the box. Faye said 10 of cups. You know what came to mind? You said that, Faye? My cup runneth over. That's the energy of Neptune in Pisces. My cup runneth over. Pisces is water. Flooding water. All right, 151. I got to go. So that's just a little quick little something. I want to get back in here and make sure that that I still knew how to work this thing in StreamYard. So yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. I'm gonna sign off. Happy manifestation to you all. Love, light, peace, and power. And as always, stay down till you get up. When you get up, stay down. 720astrology.com. Go get that. Peace.